Hi, this is Robin with Weight Loss Apocalypse. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so this is a clip from a session I had last week. This woman is in her, I think she's in her 40s. She's around my age, a little older. Anyways, she found me on YouTube via the HCG protocol, and she is leaning on the side of anorexia. Anyways, this is like our third session, and obviously the most of our focus has been on accepting your weight, accepting the vulnerability of the truth of the body, what it is if you don't restrict without all that management, all the control, what would the reality of your body be? And so at the beginning of this session, she had said to me, Robin, I have really thought about this, and I can accept where I'm at, but I cannot grasp the idea that if I get bigger, I'm not going to want to lose weight. And I had said, well, of course, obviously that's the way, because you've got so much pressure and you've emotionalized weight to that point where if you gain weight, you have to fix it. There is no negotiation. So we're talking about that trap, the trap of the needing to be thinner and why the need for it and that emotional drive to survive with thinnerness is a fantasy. Because the illusion is that when you'll be thinner, you'll hit this destination, and all of the deprivation and all of micromanagement and all of the work and effort you're putting into being thinner, the illusion is that once you're thinner, you'll feel so magnificent. You're going to feel so good that all that work will be worth it, and it won't feel as hard and difficult, and it'll be so rewarding and magical that the controllingness of food and the need to manage your weight, that it'll kind of disappear. And that's the illusion. When people come to me to help them recover from this obsessiveness, one of the most important steps in their recovery is that they see that it is just a mirage, that the actual freedom that they're wanting from feeling bad about themselves, the freedom attached to thinnerness doesn't exist, because you have to stay in your thinnerness. You have to stay inside this trap of micromanaging your food and obsessing over your weight and the paranoia that you might regain weight, and you never really get the freedom that you wanted when you set out to find freedom in thinness. It's the thinness that requires all of this insanity you're trying to escape, and you can actually look at all of the insanity around micromanaging your food and the shame and the guilt and the morality around food is bad and good, all is in context for the idea that fatterness is miserableness and thinnerness is heaven. So you even see that the reason I'm binging and the reason why I'm over consuming is because of all the anxiety I have with this food and the fact that I feel that I've done something wrong when I eat it. So you're eating food that is threatening, and it creates anxiety, and you feel bad if you've overeaten it, you ruined it, so you might as well. You wouldn't do that if you didn't have this pressure or perfectionism driving the need to be thinner, with the illusion that when you're thinner, you're going to reach this destination of happiness and freedom, which doesn't exist, because you have to maintain the the suffering of micromanaging your food and obsessing over your weight. Anyways, this is a clip where we're discussing this. And this whole session is actually freaking badass. The whole thing. I know I say this, but this was one of those sessions where I was like, oh, this clip. Oh, no, that clip. Oh, crap. No, this one. I mean, there's so many in this. So the whole session is in the Patreon account. You can find a link below. You'll need to become a member. It's $5 a month. All of my current sessions with clients are in that account. If you need help and you've hit a wall and you're ready to recover and ready to do what it takes to recover, you can work with me too. Go to my website. There is a consult request form on the website. Fill in the details and send it in. I'll get back to you today. We might be able to talk either this evening or tomorrow. So, all right. Enjoy this clip. psychological death is what it is. And you get to a place where you can go back. And for some people, they're not miserable enough. They're willing to go back into the misery because they're not miserable enough.
Right.
That's okay too. To me, it's like, well, if recovery is meant to be, if they're not miserable enough, then it's okay for them to go back into their addiction. They might need to learn that it goes in circles. They think it still goes into a destination, right? And so they might need to go through circles 3 or 4 more times before they realize, oh, there is no end. Remember when I said to you at the beginning of the session where I said, oh, you still think the destination exists, but what you don't realize is it just goes in circles. You might not see that yet. And so that's where you go, well, if I go back down the ladder, I'm going to do the same thing again and again and again. Yes. And at some point, I'm going to get right back here on the high dive. I'm going to be right back here. Right. And the only reason I go in circles is because I'm not willing to jump.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
It is exactly right. Mm-hmm. That describes it to a T.
Yes.
I remember the feeling. It's like I refuse to jump. So I go back into the miserable cycle because I'm so afraid. So I live in this weird cycle and it is taking over my mind and it does get worse. You know, I found a bunch of journals from when I was going through this and there was one day I wrote, it was so sad. It was like, I feel that my brain, I feel like I have a horrible, horrible disease that is taken over my entire mind and I can't get out. And it gets worse. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And now I can't stop. So you might not be that bad, but can you tell that it's gotten worse?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I've been that bad. Like I told you, There's times when I thought the only way out of this circle is to not be living.
Yeah, that's called hell. It's hell, if you want to call it that. And we're in the depths of hell, is to kill yourself. Correct. But there is an alternative, right? But the alternative, though, is to jump. Jump.
Right, exactly, right.
That's the only thing you've never done. You've never done it. And all I'm saying is, Karen, you know that is there. And if you could jump, then that's at least an alternative to death and the misery. So when the misery gets so terrible that the fear of jumping is actually relatively better, that's when usually people jump. Because they're like, my life is so horrible anyways. What's the risk? You might not be there yet. Because to you, the misery, you still believe that something positive is going to come out of it. But I don't want to give it up because I might get that. I might get there. And I might feel that freedom permanently. If I can maintain it, if I can just maintain my weight loss, Robin, then I will have hit heaven. Do you hear what that requires? If I can
how do people do that then? How do people go on the protocol or, and lose 50 pounds and then can keep it off? Or
they go into obsessiveness. That's one way. And a lot of people end up with degrees of anorexia and bulimia. I see it all the time. I witness it a lot on YouTube videos where people are talking about their new ways of obsessive compulsively trying to keep their weight off. There's one way. The other way is I've worked with a lot of people who don't have these issues emotionally, and they're so gracious around the weight loss, and they're kind of like healthy people. And I say that with quotes because they have a pretty solid self-esteem. They're not relying on their weight and their size to please other people, to get friendships, to feel connected, and they don't necessarily value themselves so intensely But keep in mind, those people are not attracted to the HCG protocol. So I've seen it only because I've seen so many people do it.
Yeah.
So it was usually, my best friend did this. She tells me it's amazing. I'll try it. You know, because I don't know. And so they're really lenient around their expectations.
Right, right.
So you can see why they would have an easy time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so my expectation with any diet is, doesn't work fast enough, it's not working, let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah, you're radical. You're radicalized. You're an extremist. Yes.
Yeah.
And to you, it's highly emotionally charged. Highly, you are trying to compensate for feeling worthless without it. You feel within yourself worthless if you're not thin. Or thinner. Thinner. It doesn't have to be thin. It can just be thinner than you are. You feel worthless. Embarrassed. You know, take those emotions and then compensate with the HCG protocol. Now we got problems.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess, I guess, how do you get rid of those feelings? I mean, like, when, you know, they've been so ingrained in you, like.
Well, you've always thought that by being thinner, those feelings would go away. You've always thought it. And when you are thinner, you have a temporary moment of your narcissism, which is temporary, like a high, like, oh my God, but it always goes away because it's not real. It's very much conditional, and it is, you know, it's not as valuable as you fantasized it to be, so you go back to food, and it's only temporary, right? And it goes in circles. And the problem is you've never detached as you've attached that sense of worth to thinnerness, and you've never attached it to anything else. You put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So the only way for you put all your eggs in one basket and you're refusing to remove them from that basket.
Okay, so I need to find something different that I feel of value.
Yeah, and make it not narcissistic. Or reliant on something extrinsic. Why can't you place those eggs in something that's truthful about yourself without, like, what that's natural about yourself? That's a better word, a natural value about yourself. And again, let's not make it narcissistic, like I'm special. I'm a special categorized human being. Why does it have to be that? Why can't you just see that?
Example of natural
extrinsic is, that would be outside of your reality. I'm talking about being intrinsic. Intrinsic means it's natural part of who you are as a human. So for me, what I was born with is this sense of, I want to just have fun, and I don't mean harm to anybody. I'm actually a very safe person. You are safe with me. I am not out to get your shit. I don't need anything from you. I just want to have fun. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Right? I've attached worth to that. And it doesn't mean that someone else, I'm not competing. To me, it's very human. It's like, well, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are that way. But you know what? I'm like that. And that's what my value is. So I might not be the most focused individual. I might not be a good person for certain jobs. My temperament isn't. But I do know this, that I am a good person and I am safe. I'm a safe person to be with. And that's my quality. And you know what? I'm going to allow that to be how I define my worth as a human with other people. If they want more from me than that, I don't know if I want their approval.
Right.
Someone else who needs me to suffer and to be conformed and brainwashed and to be a slave to whatever that is, I'd rather not be liked by them.
Yeah, who cares? Move on.
Yeah, well, in this case, you aren't willing to not be liked by people who want you to be thinner. So even if you say, well, it's not other people I care about, it's me, but in reality, your desire to be thinner is directly tied to social approval. It's just what you want to be to go out socially. It's social approval within yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel comfortable to go out in public.
Mm-hmm.
That's social approval. You just feel comfortable with yourself to do it, or safe with yourself to do it. You don't necessarily want other people to give you, validation at this point in your life. You're not going out to get validation, but you certainly needed to validate yourself to a very high standard to feel comfortable to go out.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah.
Or I think I'll have more fun,
Yeah, because thinner people have more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But then when I go out, when I force myself, then, I do still have fun, so.
I know, because you're not seeing that's like, you're like me. I'm fun. I'm always up for a good time.
Yeah.
Right? I want to have a good time.
Yeah.
I want to get along with people. I don't like drama. I'm not looking for drama. I avoid drama. I'm a great person to hang out with. I'm a great person to travel with. I am open-minded. I am like... Anyway, so that to me is like awesome. It's not superior than others, but I feel that makes me... I'm good enough. I'm good enough. What else do I need? So that's our goal. It's that you feel good enough. And the key here with this situation is you've got to be good enough even if you're fat. Because that's where you've had problems, is you think you can be amazing, but if you're fat, you are a pile of shit. So you're not good enough. And that's why you're so fixated on this. It's not that you don't care or think that you're a quality human. You just think that quality is completely negated when you're fat.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I could be wrong.
No, not at all.
It's connecting.
Exactly. That's why everyone around me is just like, why can't you see yourself the way everyone else sees you?
Well, you do. You do when you're thin.
Right.
That's the problem.